Alright. Let's, as usual, get our game up on the board. And see what kind of friends we can make today. Eventually. There we go. Alright. Feels like it's been a while. I've only been able to do it like twice a week lately. Alright. We definitely met both fellas in volume 16. Looks like volume 17 today. Of Teen and Tech at Serbic. Ah yes, this is it, fellas. Another night of laughter and camaraderie. Another night of joy and communion with some totally normal teens who would never... Just kidding, idiot, you're still in Alternia. You just know one of those miserable chuckle foxes around here somewhere, waiting for the exact right moment to inundate you with another disgusting dose of friendship. Who is going to be the author of your destruction on this accursed evening? Daraya, Jonjet, Nikki Mula. Your feet drag as you walk, every limb heavy and slow, and your thoughts are cloudy and dull. Your palm husk is filled with unanswered texts. You feel guilty about this, in the back of your mind where real feelings live crammed together, because the front of your mind is too busy being lethargic and numb. Being a bad friend goes against the core tenets of your beliefs, but answering texts just seems like too much effort. You're not sure where this particular malaise came from, just that the usual friend-making animus that drives you is still there, but it doesn't feel strong enough to overcome how tired you are of everything else. You can't quite remember how it felt to care that much about companionship and camaraderie. In fact, right now, you can't remember how it felt to care about much of anything. Your thoughts drift to fantasies of driving your car into the uninhabited Alternian desert until you run out of fuel, and perhaps letting the sun have its way with you. Oh. It could be part of that feeling that you've almost made all the friends there are to make, and that there's little left for you to do on this planet. It could be weeks of trauma catching up and sinking you into depression to protect you from thinking about it all. Either way, it just feels like so much effort to do anything, and you'd sort of welcome oblivion if it showed up right now to offer its sweet embrace. Your listless walking is taking you into a familiar neighborhood. Ah, the cerulean part of town. You smile as you reminisce, sweet memories peeking through like beams of sunlight through the fog of your apathy. Not far from here is Malilek's hive, with all its hacking equipment and charming upper-middle-class atmosphere of entitlement and complacence, mixed with vaguely socially aware concern. And though you've only seen pictures of it on Chitter, you know that Remley's hipster art studio/hive is also in the neighborhood. And one block over is Ardata's place, which gave you your gruesome and troubling introduction to Alternian social mores. One taught you love, one taught you patience, one taught you pain, or something like that. The hive you're closest to is actually Elward's, and as you shamble closer, you realize that a lot of other trolls seem to be converging here too. Fishing out your palm husk, you see that the unread message from Elward is an invitation to a party at her place. Looking around you, you feel a flame of your old desire to meet and greet rekindling in your heart. There are plenty of trolls here you haven't met yet. Plenty of opportunities for friendship. The now roaring fire in your belly feels a little artificial, like someone just injected you with friend-making hormones to flood out your regular human melancholy, but you're not going to complain because this is vastly preferable. As you're walking briskly toward Elward's hive, you spot a troll lurking in the shadows by Elward's back door. Curious, you approach, and when you get closer, you can spot the jade green in her outfit. Although, there's not much of her blood color in comparison to what most other trolls seem to sport, because she's mostly wearing black. And spikes. And black spikes. Ah, it's you. Guess it makes sense you'd be here. You're probably friends with Elward, huh? Whatever. Yeah, you're friends with Elward, but you didn't come here for the party. You're just in the neighborhood. You try to mimic Daraya's disaffected slouch. It's not hard, as you can just channel the you from about 60 seconds ago, who is very disaffected indeed. From the approving arch of Daraya's eyebrow, you think you're doing a pretty good job. Yeah, parties are lame. Most parties are, anyway. This one might be cool. Elward's pretty cool. I mean, she seems alright. I don't think she's that cool. I just think her hair and clothes and personality don't completely suck is all. You tactfully don't comment on the green blush to Daraya's cheeks when she's talking about Elward, nor the way she keeps glancing at the door like she's hoping someone will invite her in. She's clearly trying to sneak into this party and doesn't have an invite. When a branch snaps in the bushes, Daraya startles and looks around shiftily. You wonder if she's supposed to be out on her own this far from the caverns at all. I'm not a baby like Wanshi. But what if I snuck out? The cloister rules are so lame. Bronya's so lame. I can't believe Elward used to hang out with her, but I guess if she hadn't befriended Bronya, then I never would have met her. It's hard to meet non-Jade-bloods in the caverns. All the time you're underground with nothing but Luzai and grubs and the same stupid Jades every day. It sucks down there. Daraya's imitation grubhorn bracelets clunk as she folds her arms over her chest. Her heavy makeup makes it look like her eyes are twin black holes, where all sense of fun and caring about things might go to die. She's giving you a marked contrast from how Bronya talked about the caverns, with the peace and quiet and safety they offered compared to Alternia's surface. And other than that time Linra nearly killed you in a cave, and that time you were nearly trampled by a rampaging Lucis, you remember liking the caverns. You would think that. I don't know why I thought you might be cool. You might be friends with Elward, but you're also friends with Bronya and Linra. They're the two most boring trolls on this planet. You can't help but feel slightly defensive of your friends. Sure, Linra is Linra, but you wouldn't call it boring. And Bronya is very fond of rules, it's true, but she can hang. Whatever. Conversation is dumb. Don't care if you can't get me into the party, nothing matters anyway. Just make your stupid choice and get on with it. Let's suggest she goes home. Thinking about the Jade-blood caverns has got you really missing them. The quiet monotony, the cute little grubs, the dank air and darkness. You can't think of a better place to lie down and have a depression nap, perhaps even a depression coma. So you straighten up out of your slouch and tell Daraya that, regardless of her opinion on Bronya and how cool or lame she is, these cloister rules probably exist for a reason, right? Maybe the two of you can go back to the caverns, both together. Fine, be a goody two-strut pot in casements. I'm gonna go somewhere where it's not so lame. Lame. Yes. Lame I am. Something wrong with that. Party hard! Woo! What the hell. It's not your job to keep anyone in line, and it's not like you have a great understanding of why even the older Jade-bloods need to stay underground anyway. If Daraya wants to sneak into parties and get into trouble, who are you to say no? Daraya expresses no pleasure at your decision to get her into the party. She just shrugs and rolls her eyes. You shrug and roll your eyes back. You can play the role of disaffected teen with the best of them. You take her around to the front door. Hey, you're looking forward to seeing Elward again. When you met her, you didn't have nearly as many friends as you do now, and in retrospect, you know you came off as kinda sycophantic. Wouldn't it be great if you could introduce Elward to the new, popular, and knowledgeable you? As you're walking up the steps, a huge shadow dwarfs yours. You look up at Chahut, of all trolls, grinning above you. Well, hey, little one. I remember you. And who's this new little one you've got with you? Totally forgetting all the voices, it's sad. Chahut swishes her interest from you to Daraya, grinning down at her. Daraya isn't huge for a Jade-blood or anything, but she seems absurdly tiny with Chahut looming down at her like that. Her face remains impassive and bored, but she scuffs one of her big black boots on the ground and twists one of her spiky bracelets around on her wrist. Cute. Don't see many little Jades outside of the caverns. I've always found greenies fascinating, so devoted to the continuation of the species. What a holy mission. Chahut moves slow and lazily, like she has all the time in the world and no conceivable reason to rush, and reaches out to pat Daraya's shoulder. She lets her hand linger, one claw resting against Daraya's neck. Ain't it a dangerous proposition to be so far away from your green brothers and sisters? Unless you're hiding something in those pretty veins. A slimy chill runs down your spine. Daraya seems frozen to the spot, staring straight ahead at Jehud's bosom in front of her. You think Jehud is joking, but it can be hard to tell with clowns. Their humor is just so much more highbrow than everyone else's. Just joking. This looks like a good party, even if Elward is too blasphemous for my taste sometimes. See both you little ones inside. And then she ambles away, bending down to duck inside the door to the party. You hear party sounds, music and laughter, clinking drinks, and what could be the sound of someone being murdered, which qualifies as party noise on this planet. Then the door swings shut again, and you and Daraya look at each other. Daraya's heavy makeup can make it hard to read her expression, but you can still tell that she's rattled. You know what? It's like this party is filled with lame conformers. All these high bloods that buy into the system and do what they're told, even Elward. We can find something better to do somewhere else. Yeah, to hell with this party. You're down to find your own fun, especially if that means not putting Daraya in the way of potentially murder-happy clowns. As you saunter away from the party, you realize that Daraya is looking at you expectantly. Well, you've got this reputation for being all unconventional and weird and rebellious. Everyone seems to think that you're like totally fucking with the conventions of society or whatever. So you're gonna get suggestions for cool shit to do? God, you've sure felt a lot of pressure to be quirky since word has spread out about your manic, pixie dream alien ways. It's not like you're trying to be a vehicle for other characters to project onto, assisting in character growth and insight for those around you, while your impulse decisions and carefree ways somehow keep you, yourself, stagnant and forever unchanged. It just seems to sometimes be like that. Anyway, you're tired, and it's daunting to have a punk teen expecting you to come up with suggestions for cool stuff. You have a feeling she's just going to shoot down whatever you suggest. You rack your brain trying to think of anywhere from your many adventures that Daraya might like. Your think pan comes up with zilch and squat, and she's starting to look bored with you. Confessing that you can't think of anything is probably an option if you want Daraya to be your friend, and as exhausted and disillusioned as you feel with your socialite routine, you like her and you want to bond. Oh no, what do you want to do? Wander the streets like hoodlums. Who do that? Here's the thing, your weirdest and best adventures have happened to you when you've decided to be spontaneous and just let shit happen. Adventures and coolness are both hard things to plan. So what you're suggesting is that we just wander? Her derisive tone makes you hesitate, but, well, yes, that's exactly what you're suggesting. Daraya gives you a long, considering look. You hold your breath, and she shrugs. Okay, whatever, sure. Not like I have anything better to do. Let's just go. You meander through the well-maintained cerulean streets, heading downtown. It seems like a good opportunity to get to know your new potential friend, so you start by asking her some fairly simple questions. How am I? Gee, I don't know. Forbidden to leave the stupid caverns, and there's a J-blood. All I have to look forward to is a life of being forbidden to do things. How do you think I am? Okay. You try to walk that one back a little. It sounds like Daraya is unsatisfied with the Jade-blood setup. It's one way to put it. You could also say that I'm unsatisfied with, like, the whole setup of my species. You've been here for a while now. Don't tell me you haven't noticed that every part of our society is transparent bullshit. You glance around because Daraya is right. You've been around for a while, and that means you know enough to know that if the wrong people overheard this kind of talk, you'd both get cold on the spot. But everyone here seems distracted by their own nonsense. Cautiously, you can see that, yeah, you've noticed a certain bullshit aroma. Yep, all stinks. No one has any kind of real future except for the highest of high bloods. Actually, I've heard that things pretty much suck for them, too. Some might say that purple bloods are the most disprivileged class of them all. You're just going to continue to not comment on that one. Instead, you point out that being a J-blood, Daraya has a purpose beyond just growing up to become fodder in the Imperial Army, like you've heard other trolls mention. Surely that counts as a real future? Don't get me started. Suffice to say, I'm not exactly hype about the purpose that I supposedly have. Not like the purpose that was arbitrarily assigned to me. It's not like I have a choice, and rebelling in any sort of real way would put me in danger of a culling. Life here is pretty much just hopeless. Damn, you wish you'd had a good counter-argument. You want to give her some words of comfort, but what can you even say? Daraya's right. Shit's grim. At least you're honest. Thanks for not bullshitting me. You know, Linra said you were good to talk to about real stuff. Guess she was right. That's... no. You're surprised that Linra is going around talking about you, saying positive things even, but you're more surprised that Daraya is bringing her up in a non-derisive context. You didn't know Daraya and Linra were that close. Ah, no, gross. I hate Linra. And not in a romantic way. Or, well... Anyway, never mind. Daraya looks embarrassed and flustered and also pissed at you. At least you've gotten the subject away from how hopeless everything is. Still, you don't want this friendship to sour. As you're scanning your useless brain for a tactful subject change, you're saved by the footsteps of a new troll approaching. And as luck would have it, you know this troll. It's Tizius, which makes sense because your meandering has taken you and Daraya close to Tizius' favorite book hive. Oh, it's you. What are you doing here? Never mind, I don't even ask. You're obviously making friends with this Jadeblood. Searching for some dumb shit to do, no doubt. Don't let me keep you. Tizius looks just as exhausted as you remember. You don't want her to go just yet, because it's been a while since you've seen her, and you're always eager for an opportunity to catch up with a friend, especially one of the less murderous ones. Then you notice Daraya eyeing Tizius' mug of unidentifiable liquid, and an idea occurs to you. You get excited, bouncing a little on the balls of your feet as you introduce Tizius and Daraya to each other. You explain to Tizius, with a meaningful look that you hope she'll interpret correctly, that you and Daraya were just conversing about the more unjust aspects of Alternian society and how hopeless everything seems to be. What do you mean, the more unjust aspects? Does Alternian society have aspects that are not unjust? He sweeps into studying our legal system, and I haven't found any. Daraya makes a muffled sound that could be a laugh. You make your meaningful look more meaningful. Doesn't Tizius remember that conversation she had with you about justice and the shitty system? The importance of possibly futile work to try and improve things someday? Pissing? Tizius squints at you, then takes a long slurp from her mug. Right. Yeah, I remember. You wave one of your hands. You wave your hands around. Now we're talking. Tizius is one of the few friends you've made that seemed to not only notice that shit was fucked, but wanted to dedicate herself to unfucking the shit as much as she could. Of course, many of your dear friends tried to make the world a little better in various clumsy, interpersonal, distinctly Alternian ways. You think of Chixie striving for her music even when it pits her against Highbloods. The baffling but sweet ways that Conial and Asdaya and Gaelic and Tagra care for each other, and Fozer's commitment to political... Wait, why did you think of that guy? He's a total shill for the Condas. Anyway, Tizius has a big-picture mentality and a cause she believes in, and the simple fact that she hasn't yet completely given up is inspiring. Daraya is struggling with feelings of despair, so maybe Tizius could talk to her about the work that she's been doing. No, I'm not struggling. It's whatever. I don't even care. Daraya kicks at the ground sulkily. Tizius looks her over, her eyes lingering on the jade symbol on her shirt and her spiky black jewelry, and sighs. Sure, you don't care. I went through a phase of telling myself that too. I thought it would make it easier to deal. But nah. Tizius pauses for another mug slurp, and you think she might be enjoying the opportunity to monologue a little bit. Daraya huffs. The only thing that helps, I'm not even sure that helps is the right word for it, is finding something to work on in your own little corner. Try and make that shit a little less... I can do in my corner. Pointless to pretend otherwise. That goes for everyone. Like, this whole system is designed to help Highbloods stamp out dissent in every corner. One troll can't do anything against something like that. Tizius' eyebrow twitches as she stares at Daraya, clearly peeved at being interrupted. Uh-oh. This could be going better. Oh, no shit. What do you take me for? I'm not saying that all it takes is standing up and fighting for what's right, or something stupid like that. That's obviously a surefire way to get cold. What are you saying? How can you even know whatever piddly action you're taking will change anything? I can't tell you the future, dumbass. No one can give you a guarantee that any kind of action taken will be ultimately effective. You have to decide for yourself if it's worth it to try anyway. Why would you think it's worth it when everything around us confirms that nothing will ever change? I can't believe you're calling me a dumbass when that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Theseus looks like she's about ready to throw the contents of her mug in Daraya's face. Knowing Troll, she'd probably follow up with the mug itself. This is not the conversation you'd hoped for at all. You step in before things can get more heated. You tell Theseus that you're sorry and that you didn't flag her down just so that her ideas could get shit on. You turn to Daraya, who's staring at both of you with a defiant look on her face and a stubborn set to her jaw. This kid, she's just so dead set on rebelling against anyone who tries to tell her anything with even the faintest whiff of authority. You really thought that maybe all that attitude could be channeled into something productive that would also help her feel better and possibly even give her a sense of purpose. You're not mad, just disappointed. Don't give me that look, okay? I was just stating my opinion. I guess I could have been less of a bone bulge about it. You're pleasantly surprised that Daraya more or less apologized. Theseus looks mollified too. Shit just makes me so angry. Angry and sad and helpless. Like I don't even know what to do with myself and I really have to think about it. Bingo, unfortunately. I feel the same way. I don't think there's any getting around the helplessness. But what I was trying to say is that working on something that might help fix things someday makes that feeling a little less powerful. What you're saying is that it's just about making yourself feel better? Oh, when you put it like that, it sounds bad. I believe I'm working on things that might affect change someday, even if I'm not around to see it. But also, yeah, most of the time it helps me sleep at night, too. You can tell Daraya is a bit disappointed by this, like she doesn't trust that political rebellion can go hand in hand with making the rebels feel good about themselves. You point out that whether or not Theseus feels good about her work doesn't make the work itself any less effective. Yeah, in the end, the universe doesn't care about how I feel. I'm just one troll trying to do the right thing. Or at least the okay thing. For its own sake, even if it might ultimately be futile. What the fuck else are we gonna do on this bitch of an Alternia? Got me there. I'm bored all the time, and there really isn't anything cool to do down in the caverns. I guess that during the downtime in my training I could, I don't know, help you out maybe. Not that everything to offer other than the book hive and the jade poisters. Access to that might really help with my research, actually. Give me your number and we can talk. Is it just your imagination, or does Theseus look a smidgen less tired, the bags under her eyes less baggy, and her back a little straighter? And you'd think the corners of Daraya's lips might be very slightly quirked up. Daraya turns her, possibly a smile, from Theseus to you. This was cool, I guess. Or at least not so bad. I don't know if it counts as something cool. But I guess we could keep hanging out until more shit happens. You know Daraya well enough by now to recognize this for the ringing endorsement that it is. You're about to happily agree when Theseus pipes up. I'm just heading home from studying, but I'm not tired yet. If you wanted a third wheel to drag along... Three-way friendship combo bob victory! Alright. We need a bad hangout. Okay. Alright. Party hard. I don't know, what do you want to do? You tell Daraya that you have no ideas for cool things to do because everything on this planet is lame. But she's from here, doesn't she know of any non-lame places to go? Told you, I'm stuck underground all the time. Not my fault that I'm literally sheltered and never get to do anything fun. Oops. Maybe this was the wrong approach. She seems pissed at you. But then Daraya sighs loudly and uncrosses her arms from her chest. I do know of one place. It's pretty alright, I guess. Better than here, anyway. It's far, though. Not a problem. You've got wheels. You were walking around the neighborhood because, well, you felt lifeless and glum and your car needs alien fuel, which you've been reluctant to ask someone how to get because you don't want to be told it runs on grub grease or something like that. But now you have purpose again, and you're more than willing to provide transportation in service of your new friendship goal. You take Daraya to your car, parked a few blocks away, and she directs you where to go. You drive through the neighborhood after neighborhood through the Yellowblood slums where you met Follicle and Cuprum, the busy urban sector where you had adventures with Tagara, and the austere Indigo Blood enclave where Gaelic lives. Eventually the buildings get sparse, and you think about how you were yearning to drive out into the barren landscape and not die, maybe, but just stop. Just let it all end. You don't think Daraya would take you all the way out here just for you to both meet sweet oblivion, but who knows? Trolls can be kind of hard to predict. Just when you think you've reached a point where there can't be any more city or suburbs left, a rubble of massive old buildings comes into view. It looks almost like a miniature version of the main Alternian city that you're used to, except it's all abandoned and mostly ruined. Nothing around here looks inhabitable. Rumor has it that some of the trolls who lived here pissed off the Condis. She called this whole town. That would have been way back in the day. It's ancient history now. If there are any survivors, I guess they'd either be dead or up in space. Anyway, all these old buildings are kind of sick. There's never anyone else here. I'm into that. You drive until she tells you to stop in front of a huge crumbling building, and even though this thing is half gone, you can still tell it's a mall. It seems a bit different from the mall you visited with Polypa, even aside from the fact that it's totally dark and there's no one inside it. It seems more old-fashioned, a lot more like one of your familiar Earth malls. Every dystopian movie you've ever seen has taught you to be extremely wary of abandoned malls, and you feel pretty nervous as Daraya takes you up the rickety frozen escalator. It's so dark you can barely see her hand in front of your face. You're trying not to show your fear, because you don't want to look like a wuss in front of Daraya, but you can't hold back a whimper when your foot lands on a step that makes a distinctive about-to-collapse noise. Don't be scared. Okay, I've climbed all over this place 1,000 times, and anything that isn't already disintegrated is sturdy enough. There's no risk of calling out here because, well, everyone's already been culled. She's gentler towards you than you would have expected, given her cynical and spiky demeanor. You swallow your fear as you reach the top of the escalator, and tell her that it's chill, you just have some horror movie associations. Daraya turns and pats you stiffly on the arm. You would never tell her this, but her reassuring manner when she's noticed someone is in distress kind of reminds you of Bronya. Worth it when you get to the cool part. Come on. Shit continues to be dark for a while, though you see some light up ahead. As you get closer, the hall opens up into a food court, and you see that the light is moonlight shining through the mostly absent roof. And Daraya was right. There's something extremely surreal and cool about a decrepit, empty food court with the roof caved in. Rubble at the top cafeteria tables, and plastic food trays are scattered on the floor, and okay, that might be the remains of a troll skeleton, still wearing a mostly disintegrated fast food uniform, which is less cool and makes you remember that this place is abandoned because the Condis sent drones here to murder everyone. You wanna know the weirdest thing about this mall? Seems like actual adults used to maybe work here. Gone through a lot of the stores, and a lot of them are for adult-sized things. There's a store for just for like the shit the drones bring in now. There's army supplies for going off-world too. If this mall was for adults, it must be really fucking ancient. Jeez, has it really been that long since there were any adults on this planet? Even after all your time on Alternia, that still kind of freaks you out. What must that be like, to grow up entirely without adults? To live on a planet that's nothing but kids? Daraya gives you a weird look. It wouldn't even be like to live adults down here too. It sounds way more dangerous and stupid. Not like we're all wigglers. Trolls have to grow out of that mindset pretty fast. People have responsibilities, or whatever the fuck. At least they pretend to. There's training and stuff for Jades. We're basically trapped. Maybe you'd think that a planet of kids would mean you can do whatever you want, but I've never had any freedom. I'll even less as an adult. Cloistered Jades aren't even allowed to join the Imperial Army. Instead, we get shipped off to live in isolation. We're forbidden to contribute genetic material to slurry, and no paling is allowed once we mature. For some, I don't know, bullshit old-fashioned reason that I pretty much don't understand at all. In Alternia, your whole future is decided the second you're hatched. People tell me all the time that I have it lucky as a Jade blood, but I don't feel lucky at all. Yeah. You agree with Daraya that the future she's described sounds bleak as hell. Right? It's gonna fucking suck. It's so shitty that I have it good. I mean, at least I don't have a certain early death in my future, like a lot of low bloods. The system is so fucked up, it's never gonna change. I hate it here. I just want a way out of it. Maybe when you go back to your home planet, you take me with you. The request comes out of left field, and for a few seconds you just blink at her stupidly. Even with all that angry black makeup around her eyes, she just looks so sad and lost. You wish you had a different answer to give her, but you tell her that you can't take her back to your planet because you don't know how, when, or even if you're ever going home. You've been trying not to contemplate the future, because on the rare occasions that you do let yourself think about it, existential dread tends to take over. Dread. Yeah, that's the word for it. The older I get, the more I realize how shitty things are. I try not to think about it, just like you, but it still hits home sometimes, and when it doesn't, or when it does, I don't feel like angry or rebellious. Instead, I feel completely fucking paralyzed. This too is a familiar emotion to you. You feel for Daraya, who has wandered over the middle of the food court and is staring up through the cave-in at the moons. She has her arms wrapped around her middle, and the spiky jewelry and jagged haircut and big black boots don't do anything to make her look less small. You wish you knew what to say to make her feel better. You've done a decent job at cheering up dejected trolls in the past, but it's hard when you're feeling so crappy about your own situation. You mutter something about how things could still get better. You never know what the future holds, yada yada yada, and she looks at you like she knows just how hollow your words are. You sound just like Bronya. Next, you're going to tell me how important Jade Bloods are and what an honor all this responsibility is. Give me a break. Optimism is for chumps and losers. Keeping grub safe doesn't matter. The continuation of our species doesn't matter. Nothing any of us does fucking matters. You feel your blood getting hot to match the steel that's now in her voice. The sick part of you finds this train of thought a lot more viscerally satisfying than trying to cheer her up, which wasn't working anyway. You stamp your feet, and so does she. I can't believe anyone bothers trying to carve out a real life on this worthless shithole of a planet. There's no point. We might as well all be called. In the back of your mind, you know you should maybe be disagreeing with some of this, but you're too worked up to care. Maybe Daraya's right. Maybe nothing matters. Fucking right. Maybe I should just quit. You falter in your righteous fury. Maybe quitting is going a bit far. Maybe the high bloods that go around causing death and destruction just because they can have the right idea. This is starting to sound not so great. What doesn't sound great about it? Who cares if I decide I don't want to be a caretaker, and instead I just burn shit down for fun? There's no point to anything. What does it matter? Who cares? Daraya's hands are balled into fists, and her teeth are bared as she glares at you. You open your mouth, maybe to tell her that you care, even though that would probably sound trite. But no words come out. She scoffs and turns away from you and jumps up on a crumpy-looking cafeteria table. You know what? Fuck this. Friendship is as pointless as everything else. She picks up one of the chairs, and you really need to stop being surprised at the strength of even the scrawniest-looking trolls, and hurls it at the nearest food stall. You thought it was just a random throw at first, but it appears she was aiming with precision, because it crashes into a tank of fuel connected to the oven. You're not sure how Alternian cooking technology works, but the stall explodes in a huge green-tinged fireball that knocks you on your ass. You watch in horror from your ass-level vantage point as the flames lick into the restaurants on either side, explosions happening around the food court like dominoes. Daraya stands on her table in the middle of it, unmoving even as fire threatens to envelop her. It's probably the only place I actually like on this whole planet, so good riddance. If it's gone, one less thing to care about. With all the dust and debris, this mall is coming down fast around you. You desperately want to get Daraya out of here, but you desperately want to save yourself more. And Daraya doesn't look like she wants to be saved. You make a feeble attempt going over to her and trying to grab her around the waist to get her out of here, but she kicks you hard in the chest. Her steel-toed combat boots send you flying, and it's once again 0 days since you last broke your ribs. As used to this pain as you are, it still takes you a second of lying on the floor in agony before you can push yourself up to look back at the food court. A wall of fire now separates you from the tables inside. Can't even see Daraya anymore. Your heart sinks. Maybe she'll come to her senses and pull herself up out of danger and escape through the caved-in roof. Maybe she'll get out some other way. You stumble to your feet, half thinking that maybe you can find water or a fire extinguisher in some part of this mall that isn't burning up. But smoke chokes your lungs, and in your panic, your human survival instincts take over. You dash down the escalator as mall infrastructure starts to crumble around you, and you don't want to abandon Daraya, but it's all you can do to get your own sorry self out of there alive. Game over.